Welcome everyone. In this video, I'll be going through every Witch Doctor set and which legendary effects you want to consider in that 4th cube slot for Season 22. I'll let you know which build is best this season and which build has the largest relative power boost from that extra cube slot. Keep in mind that although the 4th cube slot can be any item, you're unable to stack the same effect twice. I'm going to assume that you're already familiar with these builds, but if you aren't, I'll link my guides to each build as we go. First, let's look at the most recent and probably still the most powerful build, the Mundanugu Spirit Barrage build. The most common build for Mundanugus right now uses either Frostburns, Belt of Transcendence, or a Kill Occurs in the armor slot in the cube. I think the play this season will be to use one of those two defensive options and pick up Furnace, Convention of Elements, or Flavor of Time in the 4th slot. The Furnace is a great pickup for this build, since trash gets absolutely obliterated compared to bosses and elites. In fact, I would argue you don't want to buff your trash damage, since the longer you're doing AoE damage to trash, the longer you get that cleave damage onto the elites. For this reason, I think Furnace is a strong contender. Convention of Elements is always a solid all-around pick that averages out to 50% increased damage, and Flavor of Time is the highest skill cap option. If you're good at playing around pylons to maximize their benefit, this is probably the pick for you. Honorable mention here goes to Vu's Juicer, which gives you a very large amount of life and mana from untapping 2 more Spirit Barrage runes, which would allow you to drop the Rush of Essence passive to pick up 25% more damage from Confidence Ritual. Honestly, there are so many good options for this spec, it's hard to know which one will be best, but I think the top runs this season will end up using Flavor of Time. Next up is the Spirit of Arakir build, which just got buffed in Season 22. Obviously, Furnace, Flavor of Time, and Convention of Elements are all solid picks, and will be for all the builds, but I think there's a good chance that adding Ring of Royal Grandeur and equipping Cindercoat might be a good option. By equipping Cindercoat, you're picking up 20% fire damage on top of 30% reduced mana cost for Firebats, allowing you to channel longer for more uptime on Taeguk and more DPS. This added mana reduction could also allow you to drop Haunt for Pyranado for the added 15% damage bonus. I wish there was a way to sneak in Captain Crimson's here, but with the requirement of running Bakuli Jungle Wraps, I just don't think sacrificing that belt or Mantle of Channeling is worth it. Next up is the Helltooth Harness set, which might actually be the largest power jump of any of the sets. While I don't think the power jump will be enough to overtake Mundanugus, Helltooth will be a fun and powerful spec this season for anyone who enjoys the pet playstyle. This build already uses the Furnace in the cube, so Convention of Elements and Flavor of Time are solid pickups. However, Helltooth is one of the only major builds that currently doesn't benefit from Ring of Emptiness, which is a massive 300% damage bonus left on the table due to item budget. Adding Ring of Emptiness and replacing Pyranado with Locust Swarm Pestilence is a lot of added damage on top of the set's damage being effectively doubled from the set bonus buff. Whether or not this is the top build, I plan to push as high as I can this season with Helltooth, just to see what it can do since we don't get this 4th cube slot very often. Next up is Jade Harvester build. Jade hasn't been seriously used for a long time now, so the data here is a bit light. If you take a look at the most recent push build from Season 16, you see something odd here. There's only 5 Jade pieces and no Ring of Royal Grandeur. Of course, that's because Season 16 was the Season of Grandeur, where all characters automatically had the effect of Ring of Royal Grandeur. So running this build would most likely be a carbon copy of what you're seeing here with a Ring of Royal Grandeur in the extra cube slot. A bit underwhelming, Jade Harvester gets the award for the least impacted build this season, since the last time it was effective was essentially when it had a 4th cube slot. Last, and certainly least, is Zunimasa's Maro. When it comes to what we should add to the 4th cube slot, I think we could actually go with SMK and drop Haunt for Big Bad Voodoo with Ghost Trance or Slam Dance. Of course, the Big Bad Voodoo wouldn't move with you like it does for Mundanugus, but would still be a very large DPS gain. So there's my rundown of all 5 Witch Doctor sets, which ones will be strong, and which ones gain the most from the extra cube slot. While I do have a good amount of time testing and theory crafting these builds, the fun thing about these big seasonal changes is many times the meta isn't clearly defined until after the season starts. Do you have any ideas for a build that could blow all these out of the water? Let me know in the comments below. I'm always excited to try out new specs and experiment. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more Diablo 3 seasonal content, please consider liking the video and subscribing. As always, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.